All right, good evening, everyone. We're here for the Lamania preview of the upcoming content that is taking us back to Ravenloft and is going to be introducing us to the newest species to be added to GDO, which is Dhampyr, which is from the mythos of Ravenloft, and they are undead descended, meaning that they have a shroud that they can go into that allows them to assume the form of a vampire. So if you had wanted to roleplay that you were a Cullen and you wanted to run around with Edward and Bella, well, now you can make your dreams come true. I am on Lamania. This is the test server. I made Mary. I logged in without any of my other account stuff just to see what the process would be without doing my transfer of my main. So like, this is a brand new character. So I don't have a lot of things. I can't really do much on Lamania without my account unlocks because it doesn't even flag me as a VIP. So, but we can test the new hireling that they gave us, and we can take a look at the vampire human hybrid race that they gave us. The racials for this are pretty cool. It's basically a fully undead vampire shroud that you go into on this character. So that means that you get all of the undead immunities, you get all the undead fortifications, you get 50% less healing, you are healed by negative energy, and they added a really cool sort of like bite effect for the vampire where it functions very similar to an Azamar's lay hands. So you get a certain number of charges of bites, and if you bite, then you can heal yourself, and then you also can do damage if you go up the racial tree. Anyone who played Baldur's Gate 3 and played on Astarion will be familiar with the concept. So it's sort of like you start off as like a lesser vampire, and then you can go up the racial tree and get more powers for your vampire abilities and become pretty powerful. What I saw on character creation, we'll take a look at some of that in a second, but I just wanted to go over some of the lore. Apparently, the term Dhampir comes from Balkan folklore, and it was sort of adopted into Dungeons and Dragons for Ravenloft. Effectively, even though I think the word is sort of goofy, it just basically is like a vampire. It's pretty interesting, and it's really good news for us in TDO because it means that we can, right off the bat, right at character creation. So if I do a monk, you'll be able to see if I pick Dhampir. They don't have anything in here yet for that, but you can see the character creator. Let me move my camera. You can see you start off with a 10 strength and then 8 points in everything else. When you do racials, they get strength, charisma, and there's one other. I'm not sure. We'll take a look and see what that is. But it seems like this particular class is going to be really good for, that race is going to be really good for classes that focus on melee, because you start off with a higher strength. And also the bite is a melee ability. So, you know, we can get a 20 strength. And then if we go over here, let's just assume that we're making like a barbarian or something like that. So we're just gonna put points in there. We don't really care what they are, but I just want to show you guys the actual. Let's do two-handed, and then we'll do power attack. So we do get an ability here, you can see it right here, called Vampire Bite. This is a single target, and you get so many charges of this, and the higher you level up your species, points, you put racial points into the Dhampir, you get more of these bites. So it's basically very similar to the lay hands. and it scales, and it will give you a certain amount of healing. You get 2 of them initially, and then you can add more as you level up. They also gain, and I'm not seeing it here, but they gain like a Dhampyr racial, which basically the lesser version of it is that you become immune to drowning. So you're like a warforged or like a true undead, even without being in a shroud, even without being in the vampire shroud. I'm pretty sure it's just like a right out of the box racial. So that's really cool for any of us here who do hardcore. If they bring back the OG hardcore, you would be able to right out of the box, without having to do a warforged, do a race that has immunity to drowning, and then also has access to, if you spend the racial points, to gain a lot of the vampire undead immunities, which are also really good for hardcore. And the character creator, they did a really great job with this. Let me move this a little bit so you can kind of see. I'll put myself down here for now. But you can kind of see, like, they right off, it looks like a vampire. You can change your eye color. And they have a whole bunch of options for jewelry color. You can change your lips if you wanted to. So if you really wanted to make like Edward Cullen, for example, from Twilight, like you can go pretty hard on that. Or if you wanted to make Blade or some other vampire, right? But they give you a lot of like very interesting options with the lips, the eyes, the colors. Like, so there, I wanted to do, like a blood drinking vampire. If I wanted to do like a vegetarian vampire, there's that. And then you can glow all the different colors that you choose. So like they give you a lot of function. You see this is like very glowy. Yeah, you can change the glow color here, change the base eye color here. So that's neat because right now, like the only way to get these really glowy eyes is to get a cosmetic, right? So I mean, it's one of those things like this is basically a free cosmetic, and those cosmetics you either have to buy them in the store or you get them through a gold roll. I think for my purpose, just for this test vampire, we'll just stick with like a traditional Edward Cullen. So, well, Edward was a vegetarian, so we'll give him the amber eyes. White, as white a skin as I can get. That's there. Troggy Trog, good to see you. So Edward, that's a pretty good Edward Cullen haircut right there. Pattinson has some really thick eyebrows, but like that looks a little bit more like him. And then I don't want my lips so black. Why are they black like that? I want them a little bit more human. Can we get them a little bit more human? All right, I don't want the nose ring. How do I get rid of that? So jewelry. Oh, so the first option, usually the first option is nothing, but the first option for jewelry is a nose ring. I don't know if I like that, bro. Is there an option to have no jewelry? It doesn't look like there's an option to have no jewelry. Damn it, they're forcing me to wear jewelry and I don't like that. Devs, we need an option with no jewelry, bro. What the F? Well, this is Ravenloft. Maybe this is some sort of weird Strahd has a rule that all of the people in Barovia have to wear jewelry. I mean, this is like the closest one I can get to. Actually, no, that one's all right. Is that what people did in the 80s? Did they wear an earring on the left or was it on the right? I always get confused with this lore. So he's basically a vampire from the 80s. I'm trying to make Edward Cullen from Twilight, and they're not letting me do it because they're forcing me to wear jewelry. I can't really make his lips sort of human either. So, I mean, we're struggling here. Pattinson has thicker eyebrows, though. I think that's better. That's pretty good hair. Anyway, all right. And so you can see you can do lawful good as a Dhampyr. So apparently that, like, alignment doesn't have anything to do with whether or not I was able to make a true neutral character. They're letting me make lawful good. We're not actually going to click off on this because I already made my character. I just wanted to show you guys the character creator is definitely way better than it's been for other races. They're letting us drill into a lot of details, and that's great. It's probably they learned a lot from the success that they had over in Lotro. The Lotro they give you a whole bunch of nice stuff on the character creator now. So I hope they go back in and retroactively add that to all the other. It uses the human frame. So this is the human body type. So if you do, you know, I'm on a human male now, and if I were to switch this to a female, it would be a human female. And so I already made Mary. You can see, and she's wearing a cosmetic. W devs for this cosmetic. W cosmetic. Look at those glasses, bro. Those are really, really cool. Definitely want to show you guys one of the coolest things I thought so far just by running around and testing out this stuff. I mean, bro, I was like, this is so cool. Guys, gotta prepare yourself to see something super, super cool in DDO. It's probably going to be like the reason why you buy this pack as a collector edition. And I'm going to show it to you right now. We're not even gonna... This new hireling. His name is Drosshart. And he is a level 34 human alchemist. And what does he do? Well, he throws multi-vials at things. How cool is that? So they gave us, not only did they give us a ranged hireling, who can heal, by the way. He has Panacea, which is a really good heal. He also has Melt Lock, which can open doors and open chests. But for now, if you throw him on attack, he's just gonna throw vials at everything. It's like the coolest thing. I can't even believe how cool that is. And so while I'm in here, I'm gonna show you guys some other stuff to be aware of. Okay, so we'll take a look at the race. Now, they have not added any of the placeholders to this stuff, right? But you can see the core. I'm going to put my camera back to where it normally is. Okay. The core for these are these vampire bites. And so the way to think of these vampire bites is they function almost exactly like lay hands. So if I'm going to pin my dude there so he doesn't follow me, and then I'm going to run up and we're going to do a vampire bite on this orc. And you can see, basically, I did a bit of damage, and he healed me. Like, just biting him healed me. So if you played Baldur's Gate 3 and you played Astarion, he had, like, sort of a similar bite. So we are, like, basically like a lesser vampire. And what I was saying is that as a lesser vampire, now, yes, I'm leveled up to 34, but we get this here, which you guys can see. This, I don't know why it's doing this. Sorry about that. You can see that Dhampyr trait is you can breathe underwater. So that's like right out of the box. You're considered undead, but like not a fully fledged vampire, but you don't take any like drowning damage. And you have access to 2 of these vampire bites that you can use on anything that's alive. So there, I did it again. Now I'm already at full health, so I didn't get any extra hit points, but in the racial tree here, it lets me level up and get 3 more of these. So I think the total you can get for these vampire bites is 5. And then it also lets me do strength, charisma. There's one other one. What I should probably do is go into the respec this and then show you guys. But what I wanted to talk about here is this embrace death. It's only in the second tier here, so you only have to spend 8 points to get it. And this is basically the undead stance that lets you go into the major vampire form. So you can see down the bottom there, it says this is a major form, counts as the vampire for purposes of Pale Master. So it's not the ascended vampire, but it's the vampire form. And it gives you +2 intelligence, +2 charisma, +2 wisdom, +2 perform. It gives you melee attack to heal yourself and negative energy to the character. You become undead, so you become critically resistant, like 100% critical resistance. You 50% from positive heals. You can get healed by negative energy. And now you're considered a vampire. The one bad thing about this, though, is you can see right now I'm in Enlightened Spirit. If I activate this form here, now I'm considered undead. And if I look at if I examine my form here, you can see like this is the full vampire form that's on me now, but it does not allow, because it's considered a major stance, it does not allow you to do other stances. So like jumping into vampire, now I knocked myself out of celestial spirit. So it's not going to probably be good for like warlocks unless you're doing like a soul eater or something like that. But doing the traditional enlightened spirit, you wouldn't be able to benefit from celestial spirit and be undead. It's one of the reasons why doing the negative energy warlock doesn't really work that well, because you can't do enlightened spirit. You have to do like the undead shroud. But this does sort of negate that whole like undead form that we have in the warlock now, because you can just basically make a lesser vampire and run around as a lesser vampire. So that's super cool. I think this is going to be like the hardcore race of choice now, because if you know the undead forms, they're immune to everything. So, and I'll go and I'll show you what I'm talking about here really quick. We're just gonna jump into a quest where I'll just bring a trap that would kill like a normal low-level character that's alive, but we have all the undead immunities, so that's great. You no longer have to be a wizard. You no longer have to buy points into the Pale Master tree to become an undead. Now you can become an undead right off the bat, and you can basically splash that into any class combo that you think might benefit from that. As long as you have an ability to heal, I don't see it as a bad thing. I see it as probably a really good thing. So it's going to be some interesting ideas for people cooking up various builds utilizing this. It's pretty interesting, I think, to be able to do undead sort of right out of the box. And so we just want to basically verify that we are in fact undead and benefiting from this. So this is an easy way to test. So on hardcore, anybody who's done hardcore knows this trap is pretty lethal, actually, unironically, if you get stuck in this thing here. But you can see like we're standing in it and we're immune. Now, yes, I'm level 34, but you could just like right out of the box at level 1. You need, like I said, you need points to get up here to buy this, so I don't think you could do it like full vampire here at level 1. I don't know exactly how many points it would cost to get you up there, but I have 8 in the racial tree right now. But basically probably by level 3 or 4 you could do this. So I mean, that's really good for hardcore, because that means that you're gonna just basically be flat out immune. The other things that you'll be immune to as well will be things like horrid wilting, you know, because you're undead. And then you have access to, it's not lay hands like an Azamar. Now you have this vampire bite, which allows you to recuperate some hit points if I can get him. So that was the bite on him. It did about 400 damage, which is pretty good. So we don't need to stay in here. The other thing I want to show you guys while we're in here is the other hireling is a level 8 alchemist. How cool is this, bro? This is so cool. Like I said, they haven't even put clothes on these guys yet. They're so... But this dude has caustic solvent. So the level 32 one has acid multivial. This one has acid solvent. He also has panacea. He also has melt lock. And bro, he has glue bomb. Glue bomb is broken. Glue bomb is like one of the best CCs in the game. The fact that they're giving us a glue bomb on our... And now whether he cast it by himself, I just asked him to cast it and he didn't hit that little guy over here. Apparently he's having a hard time hitting him. Oh, it's because he's hitting this pipe. Let's see what happens here. If I can actually get him to glue bomb that. Bro, that is so cool. Oh my god. Now this dude right here is going to be the reason why it's going to be worth having this. Yeah, like this dude, that's OP as hell. Like I think alchemists already are like super great. So the fact that we'll get a level 8 alchemist that has melt lock, glue bomb, and an acid ranged attack, like that's just great. And a heal. W devs. It's a good idea. Like that's great. So you get undead form immediately out of the box. You can't drown. You can live out the dream to make yourself whatever vampire you like, whether it's Blade or who are some other vampires, Lestat. And then you get the access to these two hirelings. One's level 8, one's level 32. Let me reset this so you guys can see all of the different... and we'll buy it all. So I'll get a bunch of points here. And so this is what to expect. So it allows you to, so off the top, it says you get 2 vampire bites to start. For some reason, I'm only showing 1. Maybe they're going to fix that going forward, but you add here and it gives you another one. So it's very similar to lay hands. So basically, I think what they did is they took Aasimar and just basically turned it into a vampire. So like a lot of this stuff is very similar, you'll see from Aasimar. Over here, we've got a selector for charisma, constitution, or strength. So like I said at the beginning, it's probably going to be a really good option for like a melee-based DPS, because you can start with a 20 strength and blast your strength way up. You could also do like a constitution build. So like I could have done a constitution warlock instead of a charisma warlock. That's viable, especially if I was going to run around in the undead stance instead of the enlightened spirit stance. But I just did charisma because I was doing my enchanter. And so that's +3 on the bites, and then I 2 for the abilities there. And then here you can see pretty cheap to buy this stuff. So this lets us level up the actual bite. So basically, if you played Baldur's Gate 3, Astarion starts off as like a lesser vampire, and then you can level him up by doing his personal quest line into like whether he becomes like a regular vampire or whether he ascends and becomes like a ascended vampire or vampire lord, whatever they call it. So it looks like this whole side of the tree here allows you to just keep leveling up the bite. So that adds a negative level to it. This one here, use your vampire bite on a living corporeal target. You gain +3 to all your ability scores for 60 seconds. That's pretty cool. Here is fearsome countenance, target, melee range, strength, con, charisma, plus stun, plus enchant, and they're coward. Coward, I believe, is like a is considered, I might be wrong, but I think it's considered like a stun, right? Like I think you do enhanced damage to cowering things. You guys will let me know if I'm wrong about that. This is pretty standard, just hide, move, silent, and jump. This here lets you focus on whether you want to get more negative healing or whether you want to get positive healing. Obviously, if you're going to be in the undead stance, which is right here, you go negative. This is really good. This one lets you do sort of don't count me out. They're calling it tenuous relationship with death, but basically auto stabilizes you and gives you your unconsciousness range extended by 20. It's really cool. Night Hair, I just saw your comment. Sorry. The hireling for the heroic is level 8, and the hireling for the epic is level 32. As of this test, now this might change going to actually live, so we'll see. But 8 is good. That's a pretty decent level for a hireling that can open locks, heal, and do a ranged spell attack. This one here is just plus versus saves. Pretty standard. This is MRR. This one lets us turn into a swarm of bats. This one is basically a charm. We'll go try some of these out. Stun DCs, because it goes with this fearsome countenance. And also if you're doing melee, stun is good because you know, if you're running around, depending on what you're doing, you might be stunning things. When you are considered undead, your vampire bite heals you for negative energy instead of positive. That's really good if you were going to go like full vampire. Enemies in a small area around you, when you finish your rush of bats, take a -5 to their dodge, -5 attack. So that's a good debuff. This is +1 dodge, up to +3 when you're wearing no armor. So if you're doing like a monk or a caster or something, that would be good. Living, this is Bite Swarm. Living corporeal, small area around where you finish your rush of bats are bitten by the bats, causing them to bleed, taking 1d6 damage per character level for 2 seconds, every 2 seconds for 12 seconds, and it scales with your melee power. So that's like a pretty cool AoE. So what we want to do here is, I want all the racials because we'll go try them out since we're here. So I'm going to have to buy them all again, just the way that this UI works. So I apologize. We've already done all this, but... Take negative. All right, did we look at this one? This is called Deathly Bite. When you're considered undead, we did look at that one. Your bite heals you with negative energy. That's the swarm. That's dodge. And what is this one? Okay, dominate. That's basically, so you get 2 charms. You get a regular charm and a dominate. Bonus to enchantment DCs. That's good if you were doing an enchanter build like I normally do. And then this is the Ascended Bite. So this basically, if you were doing like Astarion from Baldur's Gate 3, now he's got his Ascended Bite, applies vulnerability, and then it's, if the target of the bite is coward, living, and corporeal, it must make a fortitude save, plus your stun bonuses, plus your enchantment, or instantly die. So that's pretty cool. Whether or not that actually hits, I don't know. Like we'll go try to test it and see. And so we've got dominate animal, dominate person, embrace death is the stance. Fearsome countenance is the debuff, and then rush of bats, we'll try rush of bats. So we're just gonna basically go, who can we torment with these? We'll go into a should we go bother the kobolds and waterworks? I think we owe it to the kobolds and waterworks, right? W kobolds and waterworks for putting up with us for all these years. So I'm completely undead right now. Meaning, you know, won't see a breath meter. There's no damage from drowning because I'm dead. I can't drown. So I just want to see what this stuff actually looks like. What happens if I do that? Oh, okay, I need a target. How about this one? Can I just do this one? No, I need a target. Okay. Alright, little kobolds. Alright, so that's the dominate. So it's basically a charm. Whether that works on Reapers, I don't know. You guys will have to try it out and see. Can we meta magic these? No. Oh, actually, you can. Yeah, you can meta magic the dominate. You can meta magic the other dominate. Can you meta magic the fearsome countenance? No. So that's the melee range, must make a will save or get debuffed and coward, right? And then this one here, rush of bats, turn into a swarm of bats and rush at the foe. I can't meta magic that, but we're going to try that on the next kobold that we see, and we'll try to get the range. So I have him targeted, and I'm trying to activate it. So the range is, it looks like you got to get pretty close to do this. Oh, wow. That was, I didn't expect that. I think this little kobold too, I probably should be able to just take him home. I think he literally is dominated. I don't think he has an ability, like, I think he's just my little pet now. So we'll get rid of our, there, now we've got a kobold pet. Imagine if they gave us the ability to do that. Like, if the pets in our stables, we actually had to go out in the world like Pokemon and actually catch them. That would be super cool. I think that would be super cool. I'm going to do this one. Fearsome countenance. I want to kind of see what'll happen. Although, you know what? This guy, he's going to ruin it for me. So I'm going to dismiss him. Because he's going to attack. I need to let them swarm all over me. So... okay, got rid of the charm on him. That's why I always pin that on my bar, by the way, so I can dismiss that. All right, so here's the cower thing. So it looks like it did cower this one dude. It's not an AoE, and it only lasted for 6 seconds. But it's got a pretty quick cooldown here. I'm going to do it again. Yeah, so there it is right there. Fearsome countenance. We cowered him, so like he can't move at all. I don't know if that's gonna work on Reapers. I hope so. That would be super cool if it did. And then this thing here, that's a really cool sort of AoE attack that just makes everything die. This here, rush of bats. So like I have rush of bats. Let's see where it actually triggers from. Yeah, so it's tier 2. So that's not that high up to buy. And then you upgrade that. So like you buy it here, and then if you upgrade it to this swarm, it does an AoE. And it does bleeding damage, and it's based on your melee power. So if you had like blasted out monster melee power, you could probably make this do really good damage.
Tell me where the treasure's hid. I heard there's a dragon and a wizard. It's what we love about video games, the most fun ever. Baby, let's play. Let's play. Baby, let's play. A swarm, a raging storm, what adventure awaits? A hero's fate, it's what we love about video games, the most fun ever. Baby, let's play, baby, let's play. Where's the treasure? Mary, hey, la la la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Yeah, y'all 112 and we're slapping me. Got the make in my head, set the speeds up for the west me. I got the waves while I'm making moan at the room. Yeah, and we'll do the one you can't have flat. Yeah, got the devil close. With it step all the night, everybody knows. You got me in control. I'm with me, baby, watch me slow. Tell me where the treasure's hid. I heard there's a dragon and a wizard. It's what we love about video games, the most fun ever, ever. Baby, let's play, baby, let's play. Where's the treasure?